What's up, everybody? It's Wednesday, so you know it's Power Rankings Day. If you have not been able to tune into Locked On ACC, well, let me tell you, we've got a show for you. AJ Black from Locked On Boston College is in the building, and he is going to tell me who the top five when it comes to the ACC football rankings there are doing really well, who is in the bottom five, and then we might have a little fun towards the end of the show because I'm sure there's some spice that AJ is going to add to the conversation. Let's do this.
You
are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? It is Wednesday, Locked On ACC. Thank you for making us your first listen. We appreciate you coming in. It's available anywhere you listen to podcasts. Again, I have AJ Black from Locked On Boston College joining me. AJ, I hope you've had a pretty good start to your week.
I definitely have. It's getting to be fall down here, and it seems like it went from like summer, like 2 weeks ago, where it was like 80 degrees up here, to now I get coats and I can't wear my shorts anymore. I'm freezing all the time. But we're getting closer to college basketball season. For me, I know this is Locked On ACC, and BC doesn't play in ACC hockey, but college hockey's around again, so it's good. It's good.
Yeah. Are you the type of person who wears shorts until the very last minute, or are you kind of like a pants guy? You know when it's time to put those away.
I am a shorts guy. I like the freedom. I don't know what it is, and I have a hard time putting it away. But I literally go from, my day job wearing like khakis, then always during the summer for me it's shorts, spring it's shorts, fall it's shorts, winter it's pajama pants.
Love that.
Comfy pants. I'm all about comfort.
Oh, I am team comfort. Whenever I have to put on jeans, I'm like, okay, does anybody not understand that this is so like I don't even know the last time I've had to do buttons. Like it's just not me anymore. But every time I go to these games, I'm like, okay, I have to find these booties or like these heels. But lately, I've been like sneakers.
So I have to tell you a funny story.
Please.
I was in the press box for the BC NC State game.
Yeah,
and this is my second game I've gone to this year, 2 out of 3. And I dressed. I like to dress okay, so I had like a collared shirt on and khakis and whatnot.
Right.
And the BC guys, they're sports information dressed to the nines all the time. They're in like suits and everything. The NC State guys, I'm not kidding you, we're in cargo shorts, college shirts, and baseball caps. I'm like,
okay,
interesting choice.
Not what I'm used to seeing, but we'll make it work.
Whatever.
Raleigh's pretty lax, but that was also a interesting game that I want to get a few takes from, as we always have you here. But let's get right into the power rankings. Right, we always talk about the top five, then we go into the bottom half, and then we round out the show. So let me get those top five, starting with number 5 this week for ACC football.
So number 5 for me is UVA. We'll push them up a little bit.
Okay.
They spanked Duke, and it was not even close. And, they are a very one-dimensional team. They can put up a lot of points, but hey, their defense shut down Duke. And that was my big question last week was, can Duke hold off and like hang in there with just Mateo Durant? And the answer was clearly no.
Yeah.
Now, Brennan Armstrong, I still think is one of the best quarterbacks. He had 364 passing yards. They did everything they needed to do. So UVA, I thought earlier in the season they were going to be one of the better teams. They showed it again. In an inconsistent ACC, they'll be my number 5.
Listen, I love that they're still in the coastal fight, but I also feel like for that other team that you mentioned going blanking and having no points, no good offense, getting themselves in the way, I have a hint of where they find themselves at this week's power rankings. Yeah. All right, number 4, who we got?
All right, I'm going to keep Clemson at number 4. And I watched the Syracuse game, and we'll get to that in a moment. I still I don't know what is going on with that offense, because they looked even worse than they did against BC. And now Tony Elliott's out there crying about NIL being the reason why, making the season really hard for them. And I'm like, my God. Like he said today in his yesterday in his press conference that NIL is making the season really hard because the players are all distracted. Well,
Wow.
maybe getting an offense that actually utilizes your 6'5" monster of a quarterback so they can actually do something. But their defense is still the best in the ACC. And as bad as that offense is, and it is putrid, their defense is really good. And I think Clemson is going to keep winning games. I don't think they're going to win this week. We can talk about that in a minute. But I think, when you play a Syracuse, when you play a Boston College, when they play Louisville, they're going to win those games.
Yeah, and listen, when you talk about taking shots, like I literally see DJ on Dr. Pepper commercials all the time. So I'm wondering if, Elliott is taking a shot at his own QB, which is crazy because nobody else has really had that NIL negativity talk. You have not seen that. And I'm surprised, right? I thought it was going to be a little more amped up, but I think guys are just letting it roll. But to have him kind of be vocal about that is disappointing because at the end of the day, when I see what's on the field, that's X's and O's. That ain't got nothing to do with these backdoor deals. Like, are they not reading the playbooks as much? Like, what are you trying to say by insinuating that? I would love to know.
And you got to imagine, Clemson's out there battling for blue bloods on the recruiting trail. You got to imagine Alabama, Nick Saban saying, we're not going to complain and complain to the media about this. You can come here and make money. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
that's not a good look. I got to imagine Dabo is he closes ranks pretty quick, but I gotta imagine he wasn't very happy about that comment.
I'm sure he got a phone call when that was said and done. All right.
Number three is Pitt. And I am I am a Panthers fan this week because I want to see what they can do against Clemson. Kenny Pickett has been atrocious against Clemson the last couple of years. And I love Kenny Pickett. I think he's worked himself into quarterback 1, quarterback 2 talk for the draft. But he's going to have to beat Clemson's defense. It's going to be a fun matchup. And I think Pitt can do it. And I'm really pumped to see, can they this could be the moment that Clemson is really dethroned. Like if Pitt goes out there and just mops the floor with them, which they have the talent to do on both sides of that ball, that really could, really take them off their pedestal. And I think, this could be the year that Pitt establishes themselves as the best team in the ACC because I kind of think they are.
No doubt. Listen, all week we've been talking about whether Kenny Pickett was a first rounder or not. And if you have a game to circle whether we can prove that, this is going to be the game because you're going up against a top defense in the nation. And Kenny Pickett has been balling. We cannot take that away from him. But we had arguments all week. So Monday, Kenton said that he was not a first rounder. Tuesday, JJ said that he can't really best evaluate. But now, AJ, I want to know what your thoughts are towards Kenny Pickett because I think he's the best quarterback we have in our conference.
He's definitely the best quarterback in the conference. The question right now is he quarterback 2 or 3 in the country because you don't have the Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrences of last year. You have Matt Corral at Ole Miss, who's good. You have the kid McCall at Coastal Carolina, again, good mechanics, but is Pickett better than them? You can make that argument.
Yeah.
And so I'm not ready to say he's a first round pick yet. You go out there and you smoke Brent Venables' defense and show that you can read their defense and they're not going to phase you. You're in that talk.
Yeah, 100% agree. And, I think that if the conference was doing better, he would get more spotlight and get more attention. But nevertheless, he definitely has had his name out there. All right, number 2, who we got?
NC State, who made a statement on Saturday.
They did.
Good play, both sides of the ball. I mean, I was there live. I watched it happen. That third quarter, I mean, they put the wood to BC and were able to show hey, we're a better team than you. What really impressed me with NC State was their defense. Their cornerbacks beat the crap out of BC's wide receivers throughout the game. They just, there was a touchdown by Trey Berry that, a cornerback just smashed the ball out of his hands. There was an interception that was caused by a cornerback just laying out a BC wide receiver. So they out-physicaled BC. Devin Leary, again, good. I don't think of him as an explosive quarterback, but he did a nice job of managing that game and getting them down the field to wait us to win. They won on all phases of the game. They were a good team, and it's going to be between them and Wake Forest, I think, for the ACC Atlantic.
Yeah, and I was reading your article on SI.com and you're talking about, well, should we panic about Dennis Grosel? And I would love to hear a little more about that now that I have you here in front of me, because honestly, what were the expectations? If you think about it, he's doing okay, but did we put him a little too high on a platform because he beat a Mizzou and he stayed close in the Clemson game? But I mean, frankly, he's not Phil. And that's unfortunate because we kind of knew that.
Yeah, I mean, the Boston College fans are just like they're proving that they're every other college team fan base. And I'll get to this whole conversation in a second because I don't want to be redundant, because we get to the bottom half and I'll talk about my Eagles. So we'll save that conversation for a little bit.
Okay, number one, who we got?
They had a bye week, but I'm going to stick with Wake Forest.
Okay.
It's definitely still the best. Until someone beats them, they're going to stay at the top. By the end of the season, will they be number one? I mean, I've been wrong all year, but I'm going to say no. They have a tough game. They're playing Army, and Army is, when you play a service academy, those games get weird because the service academy, especially Army, they have the ability to just suck the life out of any sort of tempo that you have, and can really control the clock with their like soul draining drives that they do with their triple option. So that, luckily for Wake Forest, they got 2 weeks to prepare for this, because on defense, it's a whole new thing. You have to figure out how to stop the triple option. It's going to be a fun game, and it's a good test for them. I think it's a good one to watch.
Yeah, and it's not the first time they've been battle tested, so I definitely feel like they'll have to step up to the plate in big ways, and hopefully they can get it done and keep rolling. Now, I want to get your thoughts on the bottom half of these schools, because clearly there has to be a couple teams that can't quite get it done, and I'll do that right after I remind you guys about PrizePicks, the safe and easy way to create your best college sports daily fantasy. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less when you use this award-winning app on both the App Store and Google Play. PrizePicks allows you to do mixed sports entries where you can take over and do a Kenny Pickett bet while also doing a Sam Howell entry. It's all for you and how you can make it work. All of the users that deposit and use their promo code receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. Just be sure to use promo code Locked On. You pick 2 to 5 players and an over-under on their projection, and you can win up to 10 times on any entry when it's just you versus the projected numbers. Don't hesitate. Check out PrizePicks.com. Use promo code Locked On or go to the App Store and download the app today. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. I'm joined here today by AJ Black from Locked On Boston College. He gives you all that great news when it comes to the Eagles, and he is going to give me the bottom half of our power rankings. Make sure you guys listen every single Wednesday as we do these great rankings to figure out who is who and what should be done with these schools in this football season that is slowly but surely coming to an end. I cannot believe it, but there's clearly a bottom half of week 7, so let's hear it. AJ, who we got?
All right, so I got a stunner at number 10, and I think a lot of people are going to hate me for this, but I'm going with BC at number 10 right now.
Okay. Okay.
And here's why. I looked at the rankings. I looked at what people have done, and Boston College hasn't shown it yet. They have 4 wins. Again, a good win against Mizzou, which shows it goes by every week, and it looks less and less impressive. But they're 0-2 against the ACC. Now, to be fair, they played a very good defense in Clemson, and NC State is very good. Right now, they are not near the top of that conference. And as you said, Dennis Grosel has been a challenge. He's playing like a backup. And they got beat bad by NC State. Now, that being said, that game was weird. If you watched it, it was weird because it was like, okay, so NC State scores on the weirdest touchdown at the beginning where BC's cornerback had perfect coverage on him, and NC State's wide receiver basically grabs the ball off his butt and scores. I mean, kind of fluky. Okay. Yeah. You have BC's punter, who's been great all year, just drop a punt. Again, weird. And then there's a touchdown by Thayer Thomas where BC's wide receiver cornerbacks, overcommitted. That was a mess. But it was, BC played well that first half. They were right there. They left points on the board where they could have had the lead.
Sure.
That third quarter, they fall apart. Now a lot of that is like everyone loves Jeff Hafley, and I totally am on board with that. He's a young coach, and it's been something that has hit him, and he even admitted it today at his press conference. Like, that's something he needs to work on, is making sure the wheels don't fall off when things like this happen. And it happened, and he had no answer. So that's something he needs to work on as a coach, and that's okay, because like we all have to grow, and that's where it's at. I think this weekend will be an interesting matchup for Boston College. We'll get to that in the third segment, so I'm not going to spoil it. But I think right now BC hasn't shown anything, and they need to show a win, and this weekend against Louisville will be a big one.
Yeah, I appreciate Coach Hafley for having that honesty and that self-reflection, because I think that ultimately is what makes a good coach and why he's going to be better for these guys in the future. Especially, I mean, week 7, you can already say like, hey, I need to improve. There's still time. Plenty of time to get it right before the season ends. All right, who we got next?
All right, number 11 is Syracuse. And this is not a knock on the kids. I thought Syracuse did a nice job against Clemson.
Yeah.
Dino Babers lost that game for them.
Okay.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was doing at the end of that game.
Right.
You know, they had every opportunity. They have the best running back on the East Coast in Sean Tucker, and they go and instead try to kick a long field goal to tie it. They could have easily have just moved the ball.
Yeah.
That program is a mess, and I don't know if he'll be back. I mean, they just lost Tommy DeVito. He entered the transfer portal. He was their biggest recruit in like 5 years, and he was a complete disaster for their program. He never figured things out, and he's gone. And now they're going to have to deal with Garrett Schrader, who I haven't seen much from. I don't think they're very good. I like their defense. I credit to that, and Sean Tucker is going to be very good.
Yeah.
But they're one-dimensional. I don't know what's going to happen with them.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's about that time to hang it up. It's really unfortunate because I'm very much hard on, and I love, Dino Babers. I think what he represents is amazing, but at the same time, like you gotta give me something to work with here. Like I'm in here fighting for you, and you're not helping me. So when it came to that Clemson game, I said, whole fourth quarter, you're stressful. Please don't give it away. But it's almost as if you enjoy losing by 3 points, because that was the third game in a row that they lost by 3. Exactly. And it's just mind blowing because it's a winnable game, and you want to beat the teams that on paper, they tell you have no chance against. That's how you keep your job. Right. And unfortunately, he didn't do that at all. All right. Well, who we got next? There's still some
Florida State. We're keeping Florida State near the bottom.
Okay.
And I'm not going to give them more respect until I see them play somebody. And they're playing UMass this week, who BC beat, not handily, but they beat them. That was the game Djokovic went down. Yeah. They're a 35-point favorite in this game. They had a bye week, so they should be fine. I'm not buying in on FSU yet. And until I see more, they're going to be down there for me.
If you see them struggle, are you going to keep them in the bottom? If they dominate, can you give them a little more love?
Oh, absolutely. If they go out there and smoke UMass, which you should do, I could move them up. I think they could definitely move up.
But this is also the team that lost to Jacksonville State, excuse me. So
I'm telling you, as a Massachusetts born and bred guy, if UMass beats Florida State, I will never hear the end of it, because they're going to make that into their Super Bowl, even though it's FSU and they're on a down year. UMass has nothing. They have nothing up there. And they had that awful game a couple of weeks ago against UConn, where battle between two teams that were terrible. If they somehow turn that around and beat Florida State, they should erect a monument for Walt Bell, their head coach, on campus, because that would be the biggest moment in UMass football history since they've gone to the FBS.
God, you would hate that happens, but it definitely could. You never say never with this bad boy. And there's yet and still a team worse than that. So who we got?
We got Miami.
Okay. Yeah.
So obviously we could talk a little bit about the UNC Miami game.
We can.
And Miami blew it again. And they had the chance at the end, I believe, correct?
They absolutely had a chance to win that game. It was just, if not for an interception, Miami would have won that game.
So, winners win, losers lose, and they lost. They're now 2-4. I don't know. They're playing NC State this week, and it's a 3-point spread. I mean, if you're going to go on BetOnline.ag, that seems like easy money on NC State if it's me. But I see them. They're 2-4 now. I can't see a way that they're not going to be 2-5 after this week. And you're starting the season off 2-5 with some real heavy hitters coming down the pike. It sounds like a broken record with this. At 2-5, I don't see how Manny Diaz makes it out of the season. I just don't.
Really?
I mean, they got there's a possibility this team goes like 4-8.
Yeah.
And he's not. I mean, he's not the right fit.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they give him another year to see if he can figure it out. But
I just want him to finish the season. Like, just let him finish.
Oh, I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, he's going to finish the season.
Okay.
I just don't think I don't know how he comes back.
Oh, heck no. Like, if they bring him back, Miami just chooses suffering. Like, that's just what their thing is. Mm-hmm. I can't understand that. But yet and still, there's someone worse than this. So who we got?
Oh, Duke.
Oh, I know. It's so sad because it's not for lack of talent. It's not for lack of guys who have want to and desire to do well, because clearly they're very smart, intelligent young men who go out there and train hard, blah, blah. It does not resonate on that field. And I don't understand. Well, I understand why, but it sucks that that's the reason why. And it's because of coaching.
Yeah. I mean, they threw for 200 yards. So, I mean, they got that, but it was a lot of it was in garbage time. Yeah. Mateo Durant obviously couldn't do everything. He ran for 82 yards, but you lose by 48 points to UVA. That is shades of old Duke to me. That's like Duke that we all knew and remembered before the time of Daniel Jones, the time before David Cutcliffe really got things going. I mean, sometimes you have a good coach and things just kind of run their course.
Yeah.
And it's time to move on. I think it's time for Cut just to go get a Mai Tai at the pool and just enjoy retirement, because I don't know. You can hang your hat that you beat Kansas and Northwestern this year, and that's great. But I don't know. I think it's time.
No doubt. And I think it's not even about losing sometimes. It's about how they're losing. Like the Georgia Tech game, they absolutely should have won that game. The Carolina game, whatever, you couldn't figure out your offense. But when you get completely shut out, that's when you start to get frustrated, because clearly you have the talent. You just can't drive consistently, and you get in your own way, and your defense can only do so much. They're not talented enough to put you through games. Nope. This is not Clemson. This is not a Clemson that can make you look good. So I totally agree with that. All right, we got to wrap up the show here, but we're going to first make sure you guys are all set from a betting aspect. You know that we are back and better than ever with the new web interface for the start of the basketball season, and more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for basketball and football action. Head to the new updated desktop and mobile website to sign up today. Receive 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit by using promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, baseball, postseason, NHL, boxing, and even UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. BetOnline is definitely where the game starts. All right, we're wrapping up today's show with AJ Black from Locked On Boston College. And let me tell you, I want to know if you're hype about Week 8. And if you are so, what are the games that you're watching and you're ready to maybe have some power rankings move up and down that, what is it called? We call it the list. We can call it the list.
Yeah. So the first one I'm going to look at is obviously BC and Louisville. Okay. Excuse me. This is a chance for Boston College, I think, to get their first win. And Louisville has had, when I compare the two teams, Louisville has a good resume of solid teams. They played UCF, they played Ole Miss, they played some good conference games, and they're 3-3. So their record, I think, isn't indicative of what they would do in the matchup against BC. Right. However, Louisville's strengths and weaknesses, I think, line up well with BC. Louisville's defense has been really bad. Their pass defense has been atrocious. So this is the perfect game. We talked about Dennis Grosel earlier. For him to break out and get some big passes to Zay Flowers. I like BC in this game. I know the spread is pretty high, but I think they have a chance to really shock some people, especially if they can slow down Malik Cunningham. I think there's a chance they win this, and that would get them out of my basement.
See, I really want to have confidence in Boston College. I think they can pull one out against a Louisville team that has been struggling. For me, the game that I want to see, obviously, is the Clemson-Pittsburgh matchup, because I've always said DJ's going to have a breakout game. We just don't know when. But maybe it's now. I don't think so, but maybe we'll figure it out. But I'm starting to lean more as the weeks are going on that this is just who they are, and that's really unfortunate. And then you tell me about Tony Elliott, and now I'm almost convinced that everyone's just off over there. So
I wonder, I'm starting to think too, is there a possibility that, like, we're talking already that Spencer Rattler is going to enter the transfer portal?
Ooh,
I
okay.
wonder if, like, DJ, he's a California kid. Like, is he getting? I wonder if he's getting frustrated with the way the system's running and going, maybe out, with the rules that he can just transfer anywhere he wants.
Right.
Like, hey, I'm gonna go play somewhere else next year. I mean, it wouldn't kill Clemson because they've got 1 million 5-star recruits waiting behind him. But
right.
I just wonder, like, maybe he's just like, this isn't the right fit for me, because it's clearly not.
Yeah, see, I don't know if it's like, for me, Spencer Rattler is more of an attitude thing than it's anything else. I feel like DJ's really committed to trying to get better. Maybe you're right, it's not the right system for him, but it's also, is he putting too much pressure on himself?
Right.
He's like, I have to be a Trevor Lawrence 2.0 or a Deshaun Watson. I'm like, maybe you're just a Kelly Bryant. Like, maybe that's all maybe you're going to be a great game manager and you're going to end up helping that team get back to its prowess and be the top of the line, but just not this season. And another team, a game that I want to be really mindful of is NC State Miami. Doran has never beat Miami. And I think that this is going to be the year that it happens, but it says a lot to if NC State can just keep rolling and keep that energy that they've been bringing all season. Like, as you mentioned with that Boston College game, that was the most confident I've seen an NC State team, in a long time, in terms of not playing down, not having to scramble and like get a scrappy win. It was very much, okay, we are in control in this third quarter and beyond. We're just going to seal it and we're not going to look back.
Yeah, I mean, they played as a complete game as possible, like,
yeah,
in all phases. I mean, and running the ball, they weren't really all that great, but they were able to move the ball. They were able to stop BC and really limit them, and they won special teams. I mean,
right.
BC made that mistake. They missed a field goal. NC State hit theirs, and that was it. That's all you had to do. And you play like that, and you play solid games where you're not making mistakes, you're not shooting yourself, you're going to win a lot of games, because that's what wins in college, right? You're going to have spectacular teams like the Clemsons and Alabamas of old that are just going to truck teams, but good teams that are like that next tier, you play with, mistake-free football, fundamentally sound football, you're going to be right there. And so a game like Miami, a team that is all over the place right now, that's a perfect game for NC State to set the tempo, set what they want to do, and just take care of business.
Absolutely agree. AJ Black, it's always a pleasure to have you. I know football is your jam. I know that a little bit of basketball action might be happening next week, so I'm prepping everyone for that. I know he's going to have some good rankings there. We're just going to give top 5.
Wait till you hear who's the bottom of my ACC ranking. It's not even close.
It's going to be a fun surprise. Can you please remind folks of where they can find you and follow all of your work?
Oh, of course. You can find me on Locked On BC. I've been talking about Dennis Grosel for the last 3 days because it's the top, our bosses say talk the hits, and that's the hits right now. And I got a lot of fans that really hate me because they call me I was called a Dennis Grosel stan earlier today.
Okay.
Which I'm not, but that's okay. So check out some of my conversations. We have different guests on. I've had recruits on that talk, why they're picking BC, all that good stuff. On Locked On BC, check out my work, my written work at bcbulletin.com. And I'm on Twitter at AJBlack_BC.
No doubt. Always a pleasure. Guys, come back tomorrow. We have Locked On ACC with them Thursday action with Locked On Syracuse host Tyler Aki. He's going to preview week 8. I cannot believe we're already in week 8. So we're going to go over those games, then get you covered Friday for some betting action with Drizzy Drake. And it's going to be fun. Freestyle Friday is always a good time. For Candace Cooper and AJ Black, guys, hope you have a great day. And until next time.